Hello everyone. Our next speaker is Predrag Rajkovic, and you can start.
Thank you, Maria. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon session. Well, I assume as you are here that you're interested in organizing product teams, organizing in general. I'll try to keep you warmed up and engaged throughout the session, and hoping for some discussion and comments and questions later on. So before we start, you can write your question in the chat as soon as something pops up, just not to forget later on. So just please keep the chat going, and then we'll chat. Then we'll chat later on. Okay, so the topic that I have chosen for today is I wanted to share with you the problems that we had in organization, the implementation of matrix organization, and how did it solve, or if it solved our problems. And just a few words just to get acquainted. As Maya said, my name is Predrag Rajkovic. I'm over 15 years in product management, working on different products in different industries, different size of the products, from start to through growing to products over 1 million users in telco industry, IT industry, and now I'm a coach and consultant for Agile and for product management. So I'm teaching people how to be better product managers and helping organization be more agile. So in a nutshell, that's who I am, and how our journey through Matrix will look like today. A couple of words about the Matrix organization itself, just to be on the same page. I don't want to assume something, so just so that we are all having the same picture in our head, what we're talking about. Then a few words about the Spotify model and why it is relevant in this story, and what is it all about. Then we'll jump into a case study, that is what problem did we try to solve in the organization that I've been working for at that moment, and impact on a product organization itself. So how did the product team organize in the Matrix environment? And then we'll see some what were the good sides, what were the learnings, what were the challenges, what we managed to achieve in this organizational setup. So basically, this is what we'll be talking in the next approximately half an hour. Okay, without further ado, a few words about the organizing of the companies. So basically, when you have a company, when you start a company, there is typically just a few people, and you don't need much of organizational structure around it. So it's maybe 5 people, 4, 3, whatever, couple of people. Communication lines are just few, and every information get passed easily to the whole to the whole company, to all people who are involved in working on a product. However, as the number of people increases, the number of lines, of communication lines, become more and more complex. There is too much communication, and information gets stuck somewhere in this organization. People don't know about the things that are happening, are not aware. They've heard it from different sources, etc. And you start feeling a need to organize a bit of this crew of people. And then usually what companies choose, like the first choice, is the functional organization. So this is the traditional, the one that we have most probably all worked into, and that we know very well. So basically, people are there structured and organized and separated depending on the type of job that they do. Whatever, you get typically sales department, marketing department, production department, whatever, finance, etc., etc. So basically, these are all like silos where people of the same practice live in, that is work in, and that have the responsibility toward the someone who is leading this silo. So this is basically a very structured and very hierarchical organization typically. Apart from functional, there are different types of organizational structures. I've just named a few here, like flat organization, typical for the smaller companies where you avoid deep too many levels of hierarchy. Multi-divisional, where you create sort of a small companies inside companies depending on different criteria, like regional, or like product, etc. Network organization, where you have a headquarters and then different parts of the organization doing different jobs. Circular, etc., etc. And one of the organizational types is also a matrix organization that we will be talking about today more. So what is matrix organization? Obviously, when you look at it in the organizational chart, you have sort of something that resembles the matrix. So you have some columns and rows. Typically, in the columns, there are some cross-functional teams, so teams of different specialities, people from these different specialities working on the same product or a project. So in vertical, you would have a product one or product two, etc. And then on horizontals, you would have different skills or different functions like product people, developers, designers, etc., etc. So this is typically how the matrix organization look like. So there are some good things, obviously, and then some bad things about the matrix. Good things would be strengthening the focus on the product, because all these people working in the same vertical, their focus is on the product that they are all working on. So basically, they understand the strategy around it. They understand what they're doing, why they are working on some things. So basically, the focus on the product is pretty high. Also, switching people from product to product is easier. They all belong to the same horizontal, to the same skills. So switching them between products is rather simple. Then there is a cross-functional communication inside the vertical. You have all people as they are focused on the same product, so they communicate. They have the same goal, so they easily communicate between them. And connected to it is also breaking the silos. So people, whether they are designers and developers, they all communicate in order to achieve the common goal. One of the benefits is also increasing the employee engagement, because we're in the same boat. We're trying to get the same island at the end, so we are all rowing to the same shore, so to say. So we're pretty much engaged around the product, and of course, strengthening the teamwork goes in line with this. On the downside, there usually what's a problem with matrix organization is this double reporting. So basically, person working in one product is responsible to the product lead, but also responsible to someone who is leading the function or the skills that he belongs to. So one developer or one product manager is responsible to someone leading the product that he works for, and also responsible to someone who is the head of product or something. And this makes confusion, and we'll talk about it more, so I don't want to linger on here too much. Also, what we need here is clear understanding and communication. What are the responsibilities and how the responsibilities are shared between the verticals and the horizontals. So who's doing what in this matrix? And this is somewhat causing the reasons for frustration in the organization. At some points, it can be less cost-effective, depending on what goals we are chasing and how exactly we structure people. also can lead to workload of the people as they have this double responsibility, and can also slow down the decision making in some cases. So this is typical for, these are typical things for matrix organization. So where does it fit the Spotify model in here? Well, I wanted to talk a bit about the Spotify model because if you are interested in organization and organizational structure of the product companies, then you must have stumbled upon the Spotify model. You probably have read about it. It's actually a thing that pretty much people want to align with or to copy. And so I wanted to spend a few words on it. So just again, to be at the same page, Spotify is a music streaming service launched in 2008. It has so the history of over 15 years basically of serving customers with possibilities to listen music and different kind of sound, so to say. It has around 500 million users at the moment as we are speaking. So it is considered a pretty successful story. And when people see success story, they want to be successful also. So they usually wonder how they do their job, how they are organized, and then the Spotify model comes up. So what is a Spotify model? In a few words, when you look at it, they have organized cross-functional teams in a squad, as they call it. So each squad is dedicated to one part of the application of the product. So basically, you can have a squad dedicated to, let's say, payment methods, or a squad dedicated to Android app. So these cross-functional people working on paid methods, they are here to do everything that is needed for the payment to be enabled in the application. They have a product owner who is deciding what is to be done on this for this particular squad. Squads are basically, as I said, cross-functional, but also independent and self-organized. Several squads are organized into a tribe. So a tribe are people working on the same part, so to say, of the application. So, for instance, music player would be one tribe, or backend system would be another tribe. So multiple squads are working on the same tribe, and there is a tribe leader who is there to support these teams working on this part of the application. Inside the tribe, there are people of the same skills, and they make a chapter. So this horizontal line is a chapter. So these would be product managers, for instance, or developers, or whatever. So these are people of the same skill inside the tribe. Of course, you don't have to have in every squad. You don't have to have each of these skills. This is just a graphical representation or a simplification of the whole setup. And apart from these squads and chapters, there is an informal group of people called the guild. Basically, you can jump in or jump out from the guild whenever you want. Guilds are dedicated to some sort of interest that people might have. For example, you might be interested in artificial intelligence. You create a guild for artificial intelligence. Some people that are also interested in that join you. You have discussions occasionally, share of ideas, etc., etc. So it's informal group of people, can go across several different tribes. Okay, let's jump back to these formal parts, squads, and chapters. So when you eliminate these namings that they have given, the squad and the chapter, you see actually the matrix organization. So you have verticals dedicated to certain products or features, and then you have chapters that is horizontals, which represent the skills that people have. So in the essence, Spotify model is actually a matrix organization with special naming that they gave to it. The reason for this naming is, apart from sounding cool, is also to stress the culture that lies beneath this matrix organization. So obviously, when you look at the company, it's not just how you organize and what processes you have, but even more probably the culture that you grow inside the company. So they wanted through these names to stress the type of the culture of the empowered people, self-organized people working in this matrix. Just one comment about this model. Although many people started copying it, the people from the Spotify themselves said this is not something to be copied because this is not something that is finished. So this is something more of a vision, because in this sense, it hasn't been implemented throughout the Spotify. It has been implemented in certain parts and certain teams, but not throughout the company itself. So they vocally invited the other people and other companies not to just copy it, because as all other things connect to organization, if it works for me, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will work fine for you. So find your own way. Okay, so that being clarifying the Spotify model and its connection to Matrix, I'll now jump into the case that I want to share with you. So I want to talk about the implementation of matrix organization and its repercussions on a product organization in the company that I worked for. But just to give you a little bit of a background picture. So why did we come up with the matrix organization, and what problems did we want to solve in our organization? So the first problem that we want to solve was a lack of clear responsibility for each particular product. So at that moment, when we have been discussing it, this was the company that had over 10 products, 10 different products or product lines, and around 200 or more than 200 people. And now it might seem strange that you lack product ownership, but when you start as a small company, more or less like a startup, and then you start grow and scaling, the things just go pretty much chaotically. So you end up having 200 people and without clear ownership over a product. The second problem that we want to solve is a low sense of ownership in the teams working on a particular product. So basically, team didn't feel the product as something as their stuff, as something that they should own. And this was the second problem. And the third was bottleneck in decision making. So basically, all the decisions that had to be made went to the CEO, and obviously, CEO became bottleneck in this process, and that's something that we also wanted to tackle. Finally, we wanted to have something that is scalable, organizational setup that is flexible enough so that we can add new products easily and new people easily, not to have to change all the setup from the beginning just in order to add another product. Okay, so what did we come up with? So it was basically a matrix organization. When you look at it, it's pretty standard setup. So you have in the verticals, you have products, product 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. And in the horizontal, you have the skills or the practices, as we call them. So we had the product, technology, agile, and so on and so on. So basically, when you look at it, the verticals were there to tell the people what they should be building and when is it expected to be. And the practices were there to say how you should do your job. So basically, as each of these product lines had a product lead, someone who was owning the product and was responsible for the product. So if you were the product manager in this setup, this product lead would basically tell you, so bring you the roadmap, the strategy, and the vision, and tell you what should be built. And then the practice, the head of product would tell you how this should be done, how the discovery should be done, not in your particular case, but more on a general level, how what are the good practices of doing discovery, and also help you if you have concrete questions about the discovery. You should go to head of product and ask these questions. Okay, so this was the setup, and as you can see, all the product leads have been responsible to Chief Product Officer for their roadmaps, for the execution of the roadmaps. And all these red guys belong to the product department and were responsible to the head of product as a line organization. So basically, they would be discussing the yearly targets with the head of product and everything else that goes into this direction. To make this a bit complicated, we also had some specific cases where we had one or two product leads that were responsible directly to the CPO in any manner regarding the roadmap or whatever other way they were under the CPO. But in general, most of the people in this area, in the red area, were responsible to the head of product. Okay, yeah, the same logic goes also for other skill sets, for technology and agile, etc. But as our focus here is product, I'm talking solely about the product. So okay, so this is how it looked like from the level of the company overall. So high level picture, we have matrix with products, persons responsible for products, and then we have practices responsible for the way how the job is being done and responsible for getting the good practices throughout all these products. So this is like some common thread through all the products, so not to have the silos in a way how people do it. So how was this product department organized? So we see them on a high level here, but what did the product organization look like? So we had the head of product. Actually, this was my position at the time. And we had two, let's call them, well, not actually teams, but sort of specialities or group of people. We had the product managers that were responsible for everything that product managers do. So analysis, research, discovery, also tracking delivery management, backlog management, roadmap delivery, etc., etc. So this was one part of the team, larger part of the team. And we had a small part of the team, the product operations, which actually dealt with customer feedback collection. Here, customer feedback meaning more client actually feedback, because the interviews with the end customers have been done by product managers. So basically here more like client feedback collection. Then roadmap tracking, like overall company roadmap tracking was here in product operations, and creating product documentation that is needed for all those products that you have seen on the previous slide is being done or has been done in a product operations team. Okay, so all these guys that you see here are actually product managers, part of this part of the product team. Okay, so when we look at it like now, so this is what the setup has been. So the question is, what did we manage to do with this setup and how well did it go? When I look at the goals that we set, so we set, just to remind you, lack of clear responsibility and ownership over products, a low sense of ownership in the teams, bottleneck in decision making. So how did we do it? Well, clear responsibility or clear ownership has been done. So by introducing these people who are leading the products, it was obvious that it was clear who is responsible for this product. So it made not just the life of these people easier, the owners of the products, but also of all other people involved in working with that product, because they knew who to address to. Second goal, low sense of ownership and accountability in the teams. Well, this was partially done. So not all of these people have become engaged. Some, yes, because it was clear to them what they are doing, why they are doing it so. But some of those were not actually too engaged. So there was the space for improvement, definitely, on working further on these people to make them more engaged to the product. Bottleneck in decision making, no, we haven't managed to do this. When you look at this and you see that all these people are responsible to CPO, they haven't been empowered totally, so they weren't able to bring all the decision regarding their products, which then consequentially led to having them ask the CPO, should something be done? Should something be prioritized like this and that? And a lot of other questions that CPO had to answer. And this ended up in a congestion here. Basically, CPO became a bottleneck, so we didn't manage to relieve this problem, not due to organizational setup, but more because of the implementation, that is the lack of empowerment of these people here leading the products. So what are the good sides of this organization? So as I said, some of these problems we have solved. The working environment was better. We improved communication in the product line. So basically all those people working in one vertical had easy way to communicate to one another. They had the same goal. It was clear to them. The product strategy has been communicated now clearly because this guy, the leader of the product, communicated the strategy throughout his team. So basically he works closer with them, and it was easier for them to correlate with the strategy and to understand it. And obviously alignment and the status meetings were better and better focused. So just a few words on that. We had regular status meetings where we were talking about how the projects are going on. So just imagine when you have all these people or more or less all these people on a meeting where you discuss a product line C, but there are also people working on product line A and B. They are being completely, uninterested in what's happening in the product line C. So it was a very defocused meeting that lasted 4 hours virtually. With this setup, we had the status meetings per product line, meaning that people working on that product line were there and they were more interested in what's going on, having more focused and more meaningful meetings. On the downsides, as said, responsibilities of people leading the product itself was not completely clear, especially when it comes to handling people that are in the product line. So we had issues like who is responsible for how these people work and what they are working on and if they are working at all. So just imagine these guys here, the product leaders, didn't have anything to do with vacation of these guys, days off, etc., etc. So it did happen that, for instance, a guy who is leading certain practice is calling all these guys to off-site meeting. So basically, and then the product line leader is having the project, which is somewhere at the end, so very hectic period, but he just comes to work and he sees that, for instance, all of his product managers or whatever developers are not there this day because they're on the offsite meeting. So he couldn't do anything there. Just the practice lead decided to have the offsite at that moment. They didn't talk, they didn't consult. So basically what happened is just that this project is in a problem because half of the team is not there for that day. And this was the setup. So the practice lead had the opportunity and also had the right to take the people to the offsite. You might say, but it would make sense that he informs at least these guys leading the product, which would make sense completely, but then it didn't happen. I mean, so it ended up on this how good are personal relations between the, let's say, head of product and each of these guys leading products. Double responsibility, as in all metrics organization, we felt that too. So just one example, like imagine that these guys, for instance, whatever, from technology, they have a responsibility toward a project, but at the same time, lead of technology is telling them to introduce whatever, new framework, new way of working, whatever, new tool, and then who should they be listening? So should they align with the project or the product goals, or align with what the practice is telling them to do? So this is the very bad situation for these guys, because it's not easy for them to choose, because after all, these guys in the practices are the ones with whom they will have the discussions, the yearly discussions, and yearly review, performance review. So you can understand their problem. Connected to this is the visibility of what the line managers had into everyday work of these people. So whereas the product lead had everyday communication and everyday connection with all of these people working in his product, these guys in the horizontals didn't see them on their everyday job. So they had one-on-ones, they talked to them, but they couldn't see them actually performing. So you can imagine how this would look like at the yearly review. So basically, they would have to collect the practice leads would have to collect the feedback from all the people leading the products about their people in their horizontals, and then be some sort of a messenger giving the feedback to those guys on a yearly review, but it was just from the second hand, so to say. So definitely not ideal. And connected to that, the practice leads or those that create goals for the next year for all these people. So and you can imagine if they have like something like development goal for this person, saying, okay, you should improve your presentation skills, because it will, enable you to progress further on in your product management hierarchy, so to say, in your development. But this product lead thinks that this same person should do something more mundane, so something more operative, like whatever, improve the user story splitting skills with the team or something like that. So obviously the part that would win is part that is closer to these people, so meaning the development goal, which again wasn't ideal. Also, not clear responsibilities for the delivery. Is the product manager responsible for it or not? Also, bottleneck, as said, has not been solved. So when you look at it like that, so yes, some goals have been achieved, some not, which is probably okay. There is obviously something that should be done further on. There are some serious downsides we have seen. Some of them are pretty imminent for matrix organization. So there are some things that companies should work further on. But overall, this setup did straighten some, or did correct some problems, and pretty important problems that the company had. So when overall, like to conclude with this, what would be how do I see it? So I see that, considering the type of the organization, the size and the problems that were there, that this setup has been chosen pretty well. I also see that there are things that should have been done from the start, and this is the empowerment of the people that are leading products. So I think that more power should be given into their hands, that they should be, so to say, a stronger connection between the verticals and people working there should be towards the people leading the products, and not toward the practices. I see the practices here should be someone who is supporting those guys, who is helping them work better, and also showing them the best ways to do their job. Whereas so to say, so this should be, as they say, the dotted line, while this should be the full line towards the product towards the people leading the products. And then, yes, these people should be not just the product leaders and product managers, but also capable of leading people, which would be a challenge, separate challenge. But just assuming you have those people here, then this would be better setup. And this is something that I wanted to show and to share with you. So I'm now open to hear if there are any questions or comments, thoughts, experiences that you might have had.
Thank you very much for presentation. I will share a screen for feedback, but in the meanwhile, feel free to ask question or to join conversation. Or maybe if you are shy, you can just put your questions in chat.
Hi, it's Milos. I have one question. It's maybe partially off topic, but I'm wondering how you organized the product group at the lower level. So did you have sometimes there are product owners, product managers, business analysts, and how did that unfold?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's not off topic. I just didn't want to go into too much details for the main part. So, and I was hoping that someone might ask this. Thank you, Milos, for asking. Yes, so inside you have seen these two parts, like product managers and product operations. So inside these, we also had people management role. So some people being responsible for, again, some people, a few people being responsible for a couple more. So this was organization inside the product. So there was a head of product, people managers, and then product managers and people from the operations. So this is one line of organization, like hierarchical, or yeah, let's call it that way. And inside the product management, we had a different level of product managers. And what is important is that they haven't been there due to their seniority, but more of how much they knew about the product itself or the domain. So we had, I'll explain more just to explain the levels we had. So we had like associate product managers, and senior product managers. And the difference between them was not necessarily in how many years have they been working as in the product, but also how well they know their particular product that they are working on. So theoretically, you might have a person being associate product manager, but coming from different background, like from being a previous Scrum Master or developer or whatever. He doesn't know too much about the product management, but he also doesn't know too much about the product itself. So these two things actually make him associate product management. As he progresses in his knowledge, both in the product management type and the domain type, he advances to product manager and then later on to senior product manager.
Thanks.
No problem. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Somebody considering a matrix organization in their companies? Yeah. So you have my contact. You can contact me via LinkedIn. So if you, I mean, regarding, you can contact me there also. So if something pops up, if some question pops up in your mind later on, or you find some difficulties in working with product managers, working with product teams, so feel free to contact me.
Thank you very much.